Let's get more on this now with Professor Dennis-Kenji Kipker in Frankfurt. He's the founder and research director at cyberintelligence.institute. Really good to have you back with us, Professor. The European Commission says Instagram and Facebook use features like autoplay and infinite scroll in ways that encourage addictive behaviour. How significant are these preliminary findings, and what message do they send to the tech industry?
So generally speaking, this is generally a very significant moment, I think, we see in the tech regulation history in the European Union. So it's the first time the European Commission has formally found Meta and preliminary breach of the so-called Digital Services Act. This is one of the main regulations in the European Union regarding user safety, specifically addressing these addictive design rather than over content moderation or privacy. And that had been discussions in the past. So I would consider the message to the tech industries is very blunt here. So engagement, maximizing design choices such as autoplay, such as infinite scroll, personalized recommendations, they are all no longer treated as neutral product decision. They are now legal liability if regulators conclude they exploit compulsive behavior of users, especially in minors.
Now, Meta argues it has already introduced safeguards, including teen accounts and parental controls. Do you think those measures go far enough, or is the Commission right to say that they're insufficient?
So Meta points really that these teen accounts and parental controls, of course, they have been a real progress, as they mentioned, and they mention as well that they are some kind of step forward. But I would say the Commission's view, so echoed by many child safety researchers, is that opt-in or easily dismissed tools don't address these issues of underlying design of the product itself. So this isn't addressed. And if the default experience is still in Meta apps built to maximize time on app safety features layered on top, can only do so much. So I wouldn't consider that this is sufficient at the moment.
Now, if the Commission ultimately rules against Meta, the company could face fines of up to 6% of its global annual turnover. Could that financial risk force Meta to redesign its platforms worldwide rather than just in Europe?
I would say it's plausible in some ways. So fine up to 6% of global turnover is really enormous. So potentially over $10 billion we are currently talking about, and building one of a set of addictive features for the world and a separate restricted version just for the EU is technically and commercially awkward, in my opinion. So we've already seen a version of this with the GDPR, so the main data protection law of the European Union, where EU privacy rules ended up shaping products globally. So design changes forced in Europe often become the default everywhere. That's the case simply because it's cheaper to build it once.
This comes as regulators increasingly focus on the impact that social media is having on children's mental health. Is Europe becoming the global leader in setting the rules for how social media platforms are designed?
So generally speaking, Europe is very strong in big tech regulation, and this has always been the case. And in this very specific area, I would say yes, Europe is currently out front globally. And this DSA gives Brussels tools that most other jurisdictions worldwide don't have. And it's already used similar reasoning against TikTok, for example. And that said, this isn't happening in isolation. So a landmark, for example, US liability ruling against Meta earlier this year. And we also have a growing number of countries restricting under 16 years access to social media. They all show that pressure building on multiple fronts. And Europe is setting the pace, I would say, but it's part of a broader global shift, not only acting alone here.
Okay, Professor Dennis-Kenji Kipker, really good to get your analysis as always. Thank you.
Thank you.